Hi, I'm Jason from TAMA Drums, and today I want to talk about how to tune a snare drum right out of the box. What we have here is a 13 by 6.5 metalwork series, 1.2 millimeter steel shell with triple flange tubes. First thing we want to do is just take a visual check and make sure that the drum head is seated properly. We can do this by looking and making sure this space between the drum head and the hoop is the same the whole way around. And another good way to check is to run your finger along the bearing edge and make sure you can feel it at all times. If the head isn't seated properly, it's going to be pulling off to one side, and there's going to be space in between the head and the bearing edge. You're going to have to put a lot more tension on this side to compensate, and your drum is going to end up sounding choked. So that's the most important thing, and this one looks pretty good. If we did have one that were off center, all we'd have to do is loosen up the tension rods, and you can usually get a little play by putting your fingers under the hoop. And if you can't get the head to move, it's best to just take the whole hoop off and just make sure that this is on here properly. And then begin to tension it evenly in a star-like pattern across the head just to make sure we're totally even. The second thing we want to do is make sure that the snares are aligned properly on the bottom head. We can do this. This is a visual check. Best thing to do is put the strainer in the on position so the snares are engaged, and we want the same space on each side of the snares. If it's pulled off to one side, the snares aren't going to be seated on the bottom head properly, and you're going to get what some drummers call the after buzz, which is that ringing of snares after the note has been struck. And also by putting it on the center, we're going to get a lot more resonance and the drum won't sound dead. So right now this looks pretty good. If we did have to make an adjustment, we would loosen the tension bolts on the strainer plate and the butt plate, and just make sure that this is centered when we're in the on position. And another important thing is when we're setting this up, it's good to make sure that the tension knob is kind of at medium point. So you can loosen it up until it bottoms out and then bring it up about halfway just to make sure we're in the middle so that when the snares are on, we have plenty of room to tension up or down as needed. The next thing, and it's an important thing that a lot of drummers overlook, is the tension of the bottom head. This is where all the resonance of the drum comes from. It's where the snare sensitivity comes from. So just give a quick check. You can do this by turning the drum on its side so that you don't hear the snare wires buzzing. And I can tell by feel that this needs to come up a little bit. And I'm going to go evenly in a star pattern across the head so that we get even tension. Anywhere from a quarter to a half turn is what you're looking for. And this is very subjective. A lot of people will recommend different tunings for this sort of thing, depending on what sound you want. We believe if the bottom head is tuned a step or two above the tension of the batter head, we're going to have a lot more snare response and resonance. And right now that's feeling pretty good to me. Now that our bottom head is tuned up, we can focus on the top head, which is obviously way too low in pitch. To begin, you want to tap about an inch inside the hoop in front of each lug, and we want to match these tones as we're tuning so we have even tension, and the drum needs to be in tune with itself. If not, you can get a lot of overtones and you're not going to be able to have the drum's full potential. And I'd start out doing half turns in a star pattern across the head, same way you'd put a tire on a car. Again, trying to keep that tone as even as possible as you're tuning. This is going to ensure that the head is seated properly and we get maximum resonance. All right, and we'll just do a little check here. And right now the snares are a little loose for my taste. And this is the last thing that you want to do is adjust the tension of the snare wires. This is another thing that's widely disputed and subjective to one's tastes. If you're a blues guy and you like a trashy sound, you may want to go a little loose. And if you are a rudimentary drummer and you're looking for that military sound, you might want to tighten it up. One common mistake is over-tightening the strainer. A lot of people do this. They think the tighter the better. You're going to hit a certain point where it's too tight and the drum is going to sound choked. For example, kind of deadens the tone. This drum will breathe a lot more if we bring it closer to medium tension. So right now the snares sounding pretty good. Another great tool for fine tuning is the TAMA tension watch. This is used to measure the tension of the head, and it's placed about an inch in the same area we were testing the sound in front of each lug, and it'll give you a relative tension reading. This is actually a great tool for once you achieve the sound you want. If you're a gigging drummer and you need to change a head, that way you have a record of what your sound is, and you can pop this down and get the sound you're going for in a short order. So right now we're at about 90, and right here we're at about 90, 89, and as you tune this up you can actually see the gauge change. I'll bring this up to 90. 90 here. Okay, now we have even tension the whole way around. This is just a good tool for fine tuning. You can do a lot with your ear, but like I said, if you need to change a head and you want to keep your sound, it's a really good tool to get your sound dialed in. So, well, now that we have our triple flange tube snare drum all tuned up, I want to talk about this drum, which I brought along. This is from our Warlord collection. This is called the Masai, and this is a 12-ply all Babinga shell, and this has die-cast tubes. And this is a beautiful drum. This is all tuned up. The only difference between die-cast and triple flange, it's really the tuning procedure is the same, but with a die-cast you're probably going to have less trouble. And the reason for that is die-cast hoops are a lot more rigid than the steel hoops, and you're going to have a little bit less play while you're tuning, so you're probably going to be able to dial this in a bit quicker. And tone-wise, a die-cast hoop is going to give a little bit more of a bright tone to the drum, a little more ring, and your rim shots are going to be a little punchier and a little more pronounced. Just to recap, what we want to do is, number one, make sure the head is seated properly. Number two, that the snares are aligned properly. Number three, most important, that the tension is proper on the bottom head so that we get resonance and snare articulation. And number four, you want to go back and tune the batter head to your desired pitch and check the snare wires for their tension.